1999 brought with it a really frightening trend in lone wolf actions, and it appeared that homosexuals were becoming free game to those in the racist movement. Billy Jack Gaither became their first victim of the new year when Stephen Mullins and Charles Monroe Butler slit his throat and beat him with an axe handle. They then threw his body on a pile of old tires and set him on fire. Why? Because he was gay. When 3 synagogues in the Sacramento area were set on fire, badly damaging one of them, 2 brothers, Matthew and Tyler Williams, came under suspicion. 2 weeks later, the bullet-riddled bodies of 2 gay men, Gary Matson and Winfield Mauder, are found in their home near Redding, California. They were shot in their sleep. Within just days, the Matthews brothers are arrested, trying to use Matson's credit cards. The brothers were adherents of the anti-Semitic and racist doctrine of Christian identity religion that is practiced at Aryan nations and by many white supremacists. When Matthew Hale, leader of the World Church of the Creator, was denied a law license, he declared war on the United States government, and one of his right-hand men, Benjamin Smith, decided to get the war underway. Smith went on a 2-state shooting spree over the 4th of July weekend, killing 2 and wounding 9 others. He started on Friday, July 2nd, wounding 6 Jewish men as they emerged from a synagogue in northern Chicago. He then drove to Skokie, where he opened fire on a family of black people walking near their home. Ricky Birdsong, 43, a former basketball coach at Northwestern University, died with a bullet in his back. He was shot in front of his children. Repeatedly, he sought out black or Asian people along the street and opened fire. In Springfield, he targeted but missed 2 black men. However, in Decatur, he shot and wounded a black man, Reverend Stephen Anderson, in his driveway. In Urbana, he shot into a crowd of Asian students in front of the University of Indiana dorm and seriously wounded Stephen Kuo. On July 4th itself, he pulled up in front of a Korean church in Bloomington and opened fire, killing Won Jong-yoon, a graduate student at the University of Indiana. Police caught up with Smith near Salem, Illinois, after he had stolen a van. Smith shot himself to avoid capture. Benjamin Smith became a martyr for the extremist, and Matt Hale capitalized by selling Ben Smith T-shirts to his racist crew. While Hale claimed to know nothing about the shooting, he claimed to feel nothing for the victims and held a memorial service for Ben Smith, where he characterized him as nothing less than a saint for his contributions and sacrifices to the white race. He would later tell his followers that the only regret he had was that Smith had not killed more minorities. Buford Furrow was a racist and former head of security for the Aryan nations. One day he went to town, and he took his gun along. He entered a Jewish community center and opened fire, injuring 5 people, 4 of whom were very small children. He then killed a Filipino mail carrier, Joseph Aito, dead in the street before he was captured. Buford Furrow was ethnically cleansing his world. The year 2000 didn't promise much in the way of peace and love among the racists. Brian Raymond House was arrested for recruiting a group of young teens who called themselves the Oregon Boot Boys and exploiting them to vandalize and intimidate Jewish and Korean targets. A group of 8 young neo-Nazi skins in the San Diego area set their sights on Mexican migrant workers and proceeded to attack 5 elderly men. In the vicious attack, the immigrants were savagely beaten with iron pipes, stabbed with a pitchfork, and repeatedly shot with high-power pellet guns. All were in the hospital. One of the migrants lost his right eye. Jeff Berry of Butler, Indiana, headed up the American Knights of the KKK. Berry became absolutely outraged when he found that a reporter and camera person who were interviewing him planned on interviewing a recent defector. Berry and several of his followers held the pair hostage and demanded their videotape, while another follower pumped the shotgun to intimidate them. That was a move that cost Berry $120,000 and a sentence of 7 years in prison. Richard Baumhammers was an immigration attorney, but he believed that massive waves of non-white immigration had been disastrous for Americans. After frequenting the White Aryan Resistance website, as well as Stormfront, the National Alliance, and the Council for Conservative Citizens, Richard decided to make his community a little more racially pure. He started close to home by killing the Jewish lady next door. He shot her 6 times and then set her house on fire. Next, he went to town. When Richard Baumhammer's was through, 5 lay dead and another critically wounded. When the news hit, Tom Metzger, the guru of racist lone wolf activism, characterized Richard as a white man who decided to deliver Aryan justice in a down-home way. A couple of years ago, Richard managed to place an ad in Rolling Stone magazine for a pen pal. He did this from deep within prison walls. The year 2001 is one that no American will ever forget, including the racist. When Leo Felton and Erica Chase got caught after robbing a bank and buying bomb-making materials in the hopes of starting a race war, we weren't surprised. Leo had just been released from prison for some very violent acts. However, we were surprised to find out, as were the racists, that Leo's father was not Aryan but mixed, and his mother was Jewish. So much for that keen Aryan radar they pride themselves in having. Stephen Hildenbrand, along with Kenneth Johnson, Michael McCormick, Mark Coombs, and Michael Osorio, brutally stabbed and beat an African-American man at a Springfield, Missouri Denny's. Why? He was accompanied by a white female. Barney Dwayne Oldsfield assaulted and stabbed 4 African-American teenagers in Texas. In another preparation for the coming race war, Danny William Kincaid, the Ohio leader of the Aryan Nations, was caught selling bomb-making materials. In Oregon, a cache of white supremacist literature, illegal weapons, bombs, and explosive materials, and illegal drugs were found when Clackamas County Sheriff's deputies and federal agents arrested Forrest Bateman, a skinhead who had previously been convicted of racial intimidation. Officers seized a machine gun, a grenade launcher, an assault rifle, a sawed-off shotgun, 3,000 rounds of ammunition, ammonium nitrate, homemade C4 explosives, 6 homemade grenades, dynamite, blasting caps, primers, fuses, black powder, and 200 timing devices, as well as 50 marijuana plants. Gee, I wonder what they were planning. A month later, Fritz Springmeyer, a.k.a. Victor E. Schaaf, is arrested. Both would subsequently be charged with bank robbery. It is believed that the two set off a bomb down the street as a distraction. Brian Nielsen and Henry Baird broke into the home of an African-American couple wearing masks and shouting racial slurs while they beat the couple with baseball bats. Richard Lloyd, the Grand Dragon for the National Knights of the KKK, got himself arrested for displaying a gun while threatening his neighbor. So much for that white intellect and clean living. In Bloomington, Indiana, Eric Binion, Tony Cole, and Adam Carver started a racially motivated fight with some university students. They also were charged with aggravated battery, mob action, and resisting and obstructing police officers. According to police, Binion claimed that he was a member of the KKK and threatened to have his Klan friends target the police officers who arrested him. Aryan Brotherhood members James Craig Taylor and Justin Lee Walker shot and killed Sheriff's Deputy Dwight Woodrell, Jr. in Pawnee, Oklahoma, leaving behind a wife and 4 small children. Larry Peck, a white survivalist and Christian identity adherent, shot and killed Reno police officer John Bohawk, leaving behind 2 young daughters. One witness claimed that Peck had recently said he wanted to kill a cop. Police later found a huge cache of weapons in Peck's home. And then our world changed forever. As most of us mourned those who were lost and tried to make sense out of the September 11th attacks, the racists were poised to capitalize on the anguish that held America in its grips. Yes, they truly are that demented.